Woo! Welcome back, traders. We are getting into AMC, GameStop, and of course, your one-stop shop for everything GameStop, baby. Let's get into GameStop here. And it has a very interesting look. But before we get into the video, slap the subscribe button if you guys find value in this. I am covering all your favorite stocks twice to three times a day because we are animals. We're crazy. So I personally love charting, so if you guys feel the passion, I hope you do. Let's get into GameStop here because you have a very interesting look. As you zoom in here, I want to specify and I want to really look into the volume profile here. The bears are winning the volume battle, and I don't love that. But what you can see here is a dramatic decline if you go to the weekly chart. I mean, we are a day away from the weekly close, guys, and you can just see how low the volume is getting. You are dwindling on volume all the way down to 21 million shares. That is the lowest shares traded since, let's just backtrack really quick. Look at all the volume nodes. 21 is cracked, man. 21 is crazy. 16 would be your next lowest. But we still have one more day. So there is potential for you to come down, tap the weekly 200 here at approximately, what is it at? 22.73. That is your low. And below that, just slightly at 22.66, you have the trend line support. So what I would hope happens is you see a pre-market bear trap in which they try to get shorts to short this here at support. Always the stupidest thing to do. Don't do it. Not financial advice. I'm not going to recommend it though. Shorting at support, right? I don't think that this is bearish in the least. And I'd like to see a nice bullish close tomorrow on the daily. I'd like to see a bullish hammer candle or some kind of green doji. I was convinced you were going to see some kind of U-shape here, but you still remain underneath this trend, or at least I thought you did. Dang. Let's change that to red. So you still remain underneath this overall trend line, trading pretty much just flat. I mean, it's been pretty slow, pretty boring, but there is reasons to believe not only did you fill the gap fill at 23.60, but you are in a critical zone of support. And I talked about this in my live stream, my Q&A last night, that the kitty, Roaring Kitty, has only bought, or that we know of, right? He's only tweeted about this stock in two separate points of time, right? Of course, he was long all throughout this and doing his own show, but this was the first tap of this trend line. This was the second tap of this trend line. Roaring Kitty was very much still here. This was the third tap of this trend line that sent you how high? How high did this tap go? 567%, not including after hours when you went to $80. And this just so happened to be his location to buy. In fact, it was the most bullish trend line in GameStop's history. So just look at where you are today. And I love to say the phrase, when in doubt, zoom out, because shorts are going to get annihilated one way or another. The short thesis on this stock is dead. It's buried. You look at the fundamental change in the year-over-year growth from earnings. I mean, I pulled up TradingView. Every single earnings you beat. I mean, surprise, 31%. Surprise, 112%. Surprise, 275%. Surprise, 300%. It's insane, guys. And so there's no reason that I can give you realistically to be bearish on GameStop at these levels. There just isn't. I don't like the volume, right? I don't like that, but look at how close you are to doing something special, to touching this trend line that you've bounced on now all throughout this trading range. Bounced perfectly there, bounced perfectly, and bounced perfectly, right? So this is significant support on GME that I myself may even average down here. And if you come down to this 21 to 20 zone, consider it a blessing. Like, I seriously mean that. Consider it a blessing that you are able to get shares and the stock is in a significant value zone that it has squeezed off of every single time. I almost consider it better if you come down to the golden trend line, because I would be rubbing my hands, licking my lips, right? Because I know that Roy and Kitty is watching this exact same trend line. And so that gets me jacked, man. That gets me really excited. So our price targets to the upside remain the same. Of course, you did solidify a new downtrend of resistance that would most likely go into effect somewhere in between 26 and 25. However you break that, you're looking for a 28 gap fill, a 29 gap fill, and our all-time great above the $40 rising resistance that you tapped once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, potentially looking for your 6th tap of said resistance. Above that, above $40, if you do see this squeeze-esque crazy move, right? Maybe something comes out with the warrants. I have no freaking idea. I just like the charts. You're looking for this $73.59 gap fill, the all-time great gap fill on GME that happened back here, actually, at approximately 72.88. I think that was when Ryan Cohen first did a share offering, which, I mean, say what you want about it, has significantly changed the fundamentals of this company so that they hold $10 billion cash on hand mixed with assets, aka Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm not bearish. I'm not bearish in the least. But what I do think that you need to do here as a bull is you need to begin to see this daily MACD curl up. And the minute you see this curl up, I'm buying, right? Because I love the MACD. As soon as you curl up, typically you see that bottoming formation. See this curling up, that's your bottoming formation, especially on the weekly time frame, right? And the weekly time frame, not only are we approaching the 200-day EMA, but we're also in a very crucial spot in perspective when you look at the MACD, because every single weekly MACD has come with a pretty significant flush in price, or at least a consolidation period. So I'd like to see you hold this weekly MACD, which means as soon as next week, it is go time. If you do not see it next week, you're looking for a little bit more of a drawn out approach, potentially trading within this range, within this kind of wedge-like range until December. That would suck, but that is a possibility, right? Until you meet in the apex of this wedge trend, the golden trend line. So that would be a very interesting buy or a very interesting opportunity. I would be pounding my fist on the table, screaming from the hills for you guys. So let's look at TradingView, because I have not in quite some time. Let's get rid of the POC. Just really zoom in. So you have this wedge-like formation that you broke, you failed to retest, or you did retest, failed to break out, and now you're in this weird, like, let's zoom out. We're in the 2 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour first. 4 hour doesn't look much better. Daily chart. What to make of this stock, man? On the RSI, just very weird. Yeah, not a lot of I don't think any divergences, to be honest. So that is a wrap on the RSI. That is a wrap on TradingView. Exit out of that. But what I did want to talk about in perspective before I get to AMC, because I know you guys, you AMC fiends are waiting. You're on the prowl. I wanted to get in what I covered on NEO in case you guys missed that video. Super, super important. In fact, I'm covering it twice tonight. IWM, guys, pay attention. IWM was in this falling broadening wedge. Micro falling broadening wedge. Took you down to 233. You had a fake out breakdown. You recovered, and then you solidified horizontal support before breaking. Do you guys know how to get the profit target from this? You take from the bottom of the channel to the top of the channel, stick it on top of the breakout, and that is your falling broadening wedge profit target. And it just so happened to come to the exact tick of 252.77. You then saw a peel back for a retest of the falling broadening wedge, in which that took you directly on top of the falling broadening wedge. And I'm sure I could draw this differently. This is not the best drawing, right? Maybe I want this tap in there, and that's pitch perfect sitting on top of the falling broadening wedge. Now, what you need to see as early as tomorrow or next week is you want to see a bounce to solidify this old resistance as new technical support. IWM, all-time highs, retest of the breakout. It looks really, really good here, guys, because this is the same exact freaking setup that you had, this sharp V-like recovery that you had back in 2021. And if you see this strong break of horizontal resistance, guys, you could be talking this move right here. And do you know what happened in this move? I'll put my cursor over a very specific moment in time. January of 2021. This thing saw a 6% week. And within this move, a lot of us had significant gainers. AMC, GameStop, BlackBerry, right? Costs. All these things ran to all-time highs, as did the risk-on asset cryptocurrency market. And so what I'm watching for that is I'm watching Ethereum do the exact same thing. Look at this falling broadening wedge. I guessed it twice, right? It's a beautiful thing. You see a breakout, a retest. You're solidifying a inverse hammer candle here, a bullish continuation candle, before you potentially see this thing absolutely shoot to Pluto, potentially even this trend line at $8,000 to $9,000, guys. What the frick? What the frick? That's going to be crazy, right? But at the same time, what the frick, AMC? Fake out, breakout. I know we were covering this earlier. Look at the volume here on the weekly time frame. That is insane to see that you are knifing back into the wedge on significant volume here from the bears. And I'm very interested to see. I think most likely you come down to this finally the bottom of this falling wedge channel one more time to solidify the formation before you see a significant breakout to the upside, in my opinion. I think you're going to bottom out somewhere between 268 to potentially 266. Now, that is a tight range you're now in on AMC, and I expect it to hold. It's bounced once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Potentially looking for your 7th bounce on AMC's falling wedge, a bullish reversal pattern. Before you see this kind of, that's invalid now. That's invalid. So what we had originally guessed is coming true. See, maybe one of these, and then boom. That we want to see a very large and strong impulse move for AMC off of this falling wedge. Otherwise, you are in big trouble. So what you do potentially have, let me see if this rings true. Does it? Come on. That's weird. Come on. Interesting. Okay. So, you could bounce here if you see a very nice open tomorrow. But if not, you're coming down to this bottom of the trend line. That'd be a beautiful higher low and continuation pattern, right? 1, 2, 3. I don't know if you can really call it a 3 rising valleys because you don't have the higher high. But regardless, guys, you are sitting on top of an uptrend, and you just had some pretty significant news on AMC. Adam Aaron posted today, "This is real news." Announced yesterday, AMC and Netflix. Netflix, the largest streaming service, and AMC Entertainment, the world's largest theater chain, have jointly decided to work together. This new cooperation will start Halloween weekend. AMC will show Netflix's most popular movie in its history, K-pop Demon Hunters. Interesting. It will play on approximately 400 AMC screens across its theaters in the US and Europe. So take what you want from this. It is, in my opinion, good that we're doing deals with the devil here. Netflix has been the bane of AMC's existence. It has actually been the short thesis of AMC's existence. So the fact that they are coexisting, that they are working together, is significantly bullish. And you also see Netflix pairing and making a deal with Spotify. I thought that was interesting. So a lot of moves made by Netflix here. And AMC one of them. So I'm very interested to see what happens of this. I'm very, very, very interested. I'm very, very interested. So let's just stay tuned on this. That's hilarious. But I wanted to give you guys that news because I thought that was very interesting. But AMC, right? You have this very large bearish volume candle, and you sit atop a very interesting trend line that has only done very good things for you. I mean, it brought you from 260 up to 317, and now potentially gives you another opportunity to rally. So let's see. The 4 hours not telling me anything. The weekly, I know we peaked at that in the beginning. The weekly, very large volume here, and you're below. You rejected the 9-day EMA on the weekly time frame, so potentially bearish, but what I'm most inclined to believe you're going to see is this consolidation until maximum November 8th, in which you'll see a significant breakout, in my opinion. Let's go to the monthly chart here. So the monthly chart, you're printing some kind of like crazy cracked doji. Wait, no, I take that back. That's just this. Let's delete that because that was confusing. You're painting a shooting star candle on the monthly time frame. So not good at all. You want to see this ideally close differently before November. If it doesn't, well, not the end of the world because you did see that here and then you saw a green consolidation. The pattern doesn't change. It's just a bearish candlestick on its high time frame. So not a lot there on the monthly time frame. The Bollinger Bands, though, something that I have been covering and something that actually got me to put eyes back on this stock and try to gather around the retail community around this, because this is what got me so interested. You look at the Bollinger Bands in the monthly time frame, guys, and the last time you were this tight was, what is that, March 12, 19, before you saw this mass liquidation event. And I'm not saying that that's what's due, right? But what I am saying is when the Bollinger Bands are this tight, 88%, wow. When the Bollinger Bands are this tight, ladies and gentlemen, typically what you'll see is you will see a rejection off the midband and a fast dump, or you see a break above the midband, a test, and a vast pump, right? I think it's due for these Bollinger Bands to begin to expand, and they are doing exactly that on the monthly time frame. I'll give you another perfect example of when this happened. So I could bring up NEO, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up HYMC. And I'm going to go to the monthly because it does pertain to AMC. Look at how stupidly bullish these Bollinger Bands were. You were consolidating, got above the midband, on the monthly time frame, same time frame we're looking at on AMC, and then you saw them to begin to expand, followed by a 3 white soldiers monthly time frame. You are beginning to expand on AMC, nearing a breakout of a falling wedge. Now, I personally believe that if you can get above this midband, you're going to see prices upwards of $5, and these will begin to expand, and I think price will follow, because that is just how technical analysis often works. It doesn't discriminate by stock, right? This is just how technical analysis works. This indicator will tell you when stocks are coiled, when stocks are stretched to their max width, right? Typically, when stocks are stretched, coiled, and consolidated, they will snap eventually. And when that snap occurs on large time frames like the monthly chart, boom, right? Boom, boom, boom. It is very volatile. So the fact that we're seeing it on HYMC like this, I think is a good sign that you're going to see it on AMC very, very similarly. And the fact that you see debt reduction deals with Netflix, deals with Taylor Swift, I think these are all generative, like a snowball effect, right? You're cutting costs, you're expanding your top line sales. Eventually that will lead to a great AMC run, because that will lead to profitability. Maybe not now, maybe not 5 years, but over time. So AMC, you're playing the long game, but I could expect some kind of volatile move here shortly, and then maybe a broader consolidation period at higher levels before you see it again, right? So AMC looks filthy here. Quarterly MACD confirms my bias, just like HYMC, guys. Look at how tight that freaking MACD is. Look at how tight it is. Look at that MACD curling up as you see the end of this falling wedge. Let's go to the quarterly time frame. I want you guys to look at the bottom of your screen here. Look at what happened when you curled up, broke resistance, quarterly MACD flip. Stock became very, very bullish, very, very fast. So I'm expecting the same thing on AMC, GameStop, NEO as money flows back into these risk-on assets. And that is my thesis, guys. So thank you, each and every single one of you guys. God bless your families. Make sure to punch the subscribe button. If you guys have stayed to the end here, I appreciate you. I love you. And I cannot wait until we hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm grateful. So I just want to say that, guys. Thank you, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful rest of your night. And peace.